From the Ministry of the Presidency in Georgetown, this is This Week with the President.
Welcome to This Week with the President, a program which takes an in-depth look at the policies, programs and work of the President of Guyana in his quest to realize the good life for all Guyanese. I'm your host, Granger. Thank you for joining us. In the highlights this week, Suriname's head of state pays official visit to Guyana. President commends police and work over the past year, urges better community cooperation to support crime fighting. President Granger tells diaspora, if you love Guyana, come and invest. And President hands over $1 million to the Cyril Porter College of Education for emphasis on STEM education. These stories and more are This Week with the President. Stay with us. His Excellency President David Granger held meetings with his Surinamese counterpart, His Excellency Desiree Delano Bautese, who arrived in Guyana on an official state visit on Friday to discuss areas of mutual interest in an effort to deepen relations between the two countries. This is a follow-up to President Granger's visit to New Nekeri, Suriname on July 1, 2016. The David Granger administration has been aggressively working to stamp out entrenched criminal activity after years of neglect in the security sector, though gains have been made in the apprehension of dangerous criminals through increased capacity building measures and the collaboration of the security forces and members of the public. There is still significant work to be done. There has already been the implementation of Operation Dragnet and Operation Safeway, the increased training of the Guyana Police Force, boosting of the Criminal Investigations Division, the CID, the reintroduction of mounted police, aerial surveillance, the soon-to-be-implemented United Kingdom Security Sector Reform Action Plan, and the increased cooperation between the security forces and communities. President Granger commended the Guyana Police Force for the progress that has been made so far.
And I'm aware that there have been some difficulties, but I just want to assure you that we have set some institutions in place every single week. I meet with the Vice President the Commissioner, and a few other senior officers of the police force to make sure that we put every possible ounce of effort into policing in this country. We've started to see changes. There are mounted police on the Quarantine and in Rupununi. We want to acquire more all-terrain vehicles. We want to bring the police force up to strength. And we want to ensure that you all have the conditions, you all have the resources to enable you to do your jobs. So thank you very much for the effort that you put in during 2016.
In 2016, an estimated $24.6 billion was spent in the security sector, while $29.1 billion has been allocated for public security in 2017. This has resulted in some reduction in crime, with statistics showing reduced crime over consecutive periods when compared to the same time last year. However, President Granger believes that more still needs to be done, and he intends to use all available resources to ensure that this becomes a reality. President Granger continues to lead the National Security Committee in devising strategies that will see immediately medium-term and long-term changes and a safer Guyana for all Guyanese and visitors. Even as the government works to ensure public safety, the President has expressed his confidence in the ability of the Guyana Police Force, the GPF, to tackle crime and discharge its mandate of service and protection to the people of Guyana, but noted limited resources and the unpredictable nature of some crimes which plague the society as challenges that they face in the execution of their duties. The head of state was at the time speaking to the force's top brass at its annual Christmas breakfast at Ivleri.
We're speaking about the conditions on which people live in society, and these conditions change all of the time. What you did in 1950 can't work in 1960 or 1970, and some things they can't work. But this force has shown that it is responsive to the changes which are taking place in society. So the interventions which the commissioners mentioned are very important. That is to say, to use social and other means to ensure that conflict does not degenerate to such a stage that it turns into crime.
The President also commended the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Silal Prasad, who, in addition to implementing enforcement measures and advancing the recommendations by the NSC, has embarked on a range of social programs in order to reach out to communities, to improve the relationships with the force and positively impact the country's youth. President Granger explained that crime is not just about career crooks and professional law enforcement officers. It is also with society and the conditions under which people live. In this regard, he said that the force has shown that it is responsive to the changes of the society. He urged the management of the GPF to continue to engage citizens, particularly youths, and work with them to ensure that they are deterred from any form of criminal behavior. Emphasizing the importance of community support for the work of the GPF and their role in supporting crime prevention, the President also called on citizens to work with the police, noting the unpredictable nature of certain crimes and the fact that it is impossible for police officers to be everywhere at the same time. In a recent interview with the Ministry of the Presidency, Minister of Public Security, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, it said that on the agenda for the government is the increase of street patrols by the GPF, as well as the building of partnerships and the strengthening of community policing groups and the neighborhood democratic councils.
The other thing is also to get more patrols on the roads, especially of Georgetown, where these robberies with guns are used all the time. And so it requires more assets, more patrols, more policemen. And right now, my plan is to get some more of the neighborhood policing and the CPG and so on to help the police in this Christmas time to New Year's time, so that we can get the actual policemen, the regular police force, out in the streets, lots more. Thank God we managed to get from the supplier recently a number of motorbikes, ATVs, SUVs, and minibuses as part of the allocation for this year's budget. And so we are going to utilize those assets to do increased patrols in and around the Georgetown area. But it is not exclusively Georgetown. We have to deploy some of these in Berbice. We have to deploy them in West Dem and Essequibo too. And some of the ATVs will have to go up in Lethem area and those other mountainous territories and so on. So it is part of that. The other aspect of it is also very important, is to get the community policing groups as being kind of social informers as to who are the bad guys that might be doing this and springing upon people and creating this sense of fear and lots more robberies with arms or without arms.
He had also noted that the ministry has embarked on a series of programs which targets the at-risk youths with the aim of offering skills training and a livelihood.
Through a social program that we have that is part of the Citizen Security Strengthening Program, At-Risk Youth. And this At-Risk Youth program has commenced whereby 20 communities, a number of communities within Georgetown area and across the country, where at-risk youths are going to be identified so as to divert their idleness away from the negatives and then probably crime onto specialized training, whether being a mason or a carpenter or a joiner or whatever, and we're going to send them to school, these at-risk youth. Each one of the 20 communities have to have 55 identified at-risk youths who are going to go through that program. And they are going to be paid, I think, a 50 US or a 75 US dollars per month to take care of their expenses to ensure that they go to the school.
Additionally, works have begun for the establishment of police outposts in those areas, as well as the introduction of mounted branches in various parts across the country. The government is also exploring the possibility of watchtowers that would feature systems that can detect illegal activities across the border areas. Meanwhile, Commissioner Prasad said that every year brings its own challenges and that the force is aware that much more needs to be done, and this is why it is focusing heavily on enhancing its relations with the public, with a view to improving crime intelligence and other vital reforms.
We're dealing with the millennial generation, but we have to find a way to communicate to them, to engage them, and to share our experiences with them, to develop them in ways that they can take care of their own security and make good judgments. So we have engaged this year some entertainment providers, DJs and promoters and so on, and asked them at their functions that they do to get messages out, to get these positive messages out to them. And they've started doing that.
Guyana is a beautiful, bountiful country which boasts natural waterfalls and other wonders, exotic animals, and rich mineral wealth. Since his assumption to office, President Granger has extolled the richness of our culture and our national patrimony. This patrimony takes the form of flora, fauna, bauxite, gold, and diamonds, and pristine landscapes perfect for ecotourism. However, he has also acknowledged the need for direct investments so that every Guyanese can benefit from the good life. In keeping with his administration's thrust to advance the economy, President Granger has called on members of the Guyanese diaspora to return and invest in villages across the country of their birth, as he praised the overseas-based Wilson family for their $130 million investment in a gas station and plaza in Buxton on the east coast of Demerara. As Guyana moves to develop its oil and gas sector with the significant petroleum discovery by ExxonMobil, the president stated that as a mature nation, Guyana is looking to properly manage its resources to ensure a bright future for all Guyanese. Speaking at the official opening of the Buxton Friendship Gas Station and Plaza, which will be renamed later in the year to the Francis Plaza, the president said that Guyana welcomes investments, particularly from the Guyanese diaspora, which can boost village economies and lead to the return of the days of self-sufficiency, especially in the agricultural and industrial sector.
As I come here today, it is a journey of hope that this initiative started by the Wilsons will trigger other activities by other members of the diaspora who want to see the country of their birth prosper. First of all, I love the diasporas. I have great respect for them. 6 years ago, I launched my campaign that brought me to this podium today in the diaspora. And I'm always grateful to them for what they did then and the confidence that they showed in me. And Morris and Jocelyn were my friends from then. The diaspora, as I've always said, possesses capital. They possess tremendous experience. And they have grit, determination.
Pointing out that thriving village economies translate into growth in the national economy, the head of state said that it is important that the diaspora be seen as the important source of direct investment.
I don't see any distinction. I feel that those persons in the diaspora should continue to see themselves as Guyanese, as Morris and Jocelyn do, and invest, bring their talent, bring their treasure, bring their expertise. We need capital to develop village life in Guyana. We have the land, we have the labor, and we ask the members of the diaspora to do more than talk.
President Granger also said that villages often provided for the social, religious, and educational development of its residents and were economic hubs. He called for a return to booming village economies through investment on entrepreneurship.
And these villages thrived. These villages nurtured modern Guyana. Land is life, and these villages should not become dormitories where people just come to sleep. They should recapture the vitality which made them into the powerhouses of food production in Guyana. If any of you were to read the exports of Guyana in 1916, 100 years ago, you'd be amazed. We exported mules, fish, cocoa, coffee. We were really the food bowl of the Eastern Caribbean. Schooners left here to take thousands of tons of produce to the Caribbean islands. And of course, these villages fed the immigrants who came into the country. There were no supermarkets then. even up to the time of the establishment of Black Bush Pool, planting material was gotten from places like Leeds and Firish to make Black Bush Pool a significant food producer today. So when I come to this petrol station here today, it's a very emotional time for me because I believe it is a form of economic renaissance. Even though it's small and there are scores of villages throughout the country with petrol stations, I believe it is very significant that it should occur here today.
While praising the establishment of the gas station and plaza, which will boast a pharmacy, church's chicken outlet, supermarket, a medical clinic, and several other businesses, the head of state said that initiatives such as these should be used to chart a new course for villages. He added, however, that investments are also needed to highlight the great potential for agro-enterprises and self-sufficiency, which must again be at the center of the nation's development.
We want to see industry. And when we speak of industry, we speak of the ability to process raw material. We speak about production. And those of you who are my age, over 50, like Lance, would know that 50 years ago, if you wanted any fruit, any vegetable, you had to come in the villages. You had to come in the villages. And those fruit, those vegetables, were produced in great quantities because certain things started to happen in villages over 100 years ago. In these communities, people started to hold agricultural fairs, bringing their goats, their cattle.
Meanwhile, owner of the business, Mr. Morris Wilson, in an invited comment, said that he has already spent $90 million on the business, but when fully completed by the end of February, the amount will be in the vicinity of $130 million. He noted that once completed, employment would be provided for at least 70 persons at the location. In talking about his decision to invest in Guyana, Mr. Wilson said that he believes that Guyana is on a path of new growth and development, and as such, he decided to invest in the country. He noted that it is his wish to, like the president, to see other persons from the diaspora investing in their homeland as the future seems very bright. I quote, "I think Guyana is the best place right now. There is economic change and better economic times are ahead. We are embarking on a new path. We will be having oil in a few years and there will be a buzz of economic activities. I feel that this is the time and I would encourage our Guyanese to be a part of the change, part of the economic transformation. They should seize the opportunity. Guyana has economic fertile grounds and there is a need for industry here, so let us all be encouraged to come back and invest." End of quote, Mr. Wilson said. President Granger has placed the transformation of Guyana into an education nation at the top of his agenda. He believes that education is the tool which can be used to reverse the cycle of poverty, develop communities, and transform regions into economic hubs. This commitment clearly is demonstrated in the Boats, Buses, Bicycles, Breakfast and Books, or 5Bs initiative, which is aimed at ensuring that every child is given the opportunity to get to school and stay in school. But more than that, the president has emphasized the importance of providing an education that develops the skills of the new generation to be able to develop the country's resources. And as Guyana prepares to begin its journey towards becoming a green state, technology and investment in the sciences to boost innovation and job creation is critical. It is for this reason that President David Granger on Thursday handed over $1 million to the Cyril Potter College of Education for emphasis to be placed on the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or the STEM subjects, even as the principal of the college vowed to ensure that the approaches to these subjects are reviewed in the new year to ensure maximum results.
And I brought a little envelope here to give your headmistress, your principal, which will promote the program for teaching information technology at Cyril Potter College of Education. And this will go to establishing, I wouldn't mention the amount, but it's more than $999,000.
This is the fifth education institution but sixth foundation which has benefited from the President's endowment of funds for the science and technology education. The President presented the check to the principal, Ms. Viola Rowe, following his address to the graduating class of 2016 at the college's 82nd graduation ceremony at the National Cultural Center on Thursday. The head of state said that as Guyana advances its green agenda, that teachers must be able to train a generation of professionals who are able to develop the nation's resources and take advantage of opportunities that will become available.
Your government is establishing, or is on the way to establish, what I call a green state. A state that emphasizes the protection of our environment. It emphasizes the preservation of our biodiversity. It emphasizes the provision of ecotourism and eco-educational services and the promotion of practical measures to ensure climate adaptation. You, the graduates, all teachers must understand this. This is where the country is going.
Noting that science is about energy generation, solid waste management, and creating green schools, compounds, and communities, the President said that investment in these areas of education will create an efficient education system which can train the future builders of the country.
Our education system has to train architects, contractors, and construction workers to build our homes, computer scientists to enhance our knowledge and expedite our transactions, medical doctors and technologists to protect us from epidemic disease or to cure our everyday disorders. We must train thousands of persons in manufacturing to fabricate machines to process foods and to make utensils. We must train miners to produce bauxite, diamonds, gold, and manganese. We must train young students to encourage them to be inventive and innovative, and to provide them with the opportunities to develop practical solutions to the physical challenges we face. And we must train a generation of teachers to produce new textbooks to support the new teaching and to devise new techniques which will transform our lives.
In this regard, the head of state said that teachers must be more than mere tutors. Instead, they must be agents of socialization, implanting knowledge, inculcating values, and infusing the right attitude in them.
To improve teaching, we want to see the maintenance of standards. Principals, parents, teachers, and students must be clear about what is expected in the classroom. Standards must be measurable and implementable. Standards must be the responsibility of school heads and the educational authorities. We need skills. Teachers, through training, must be exposed to modern teaching skills so that they can be effective in transmitting knowledge to and building character in their students. Teacher training must be a career-long exercise, pursuing professional development, either in education or through specialization in subject areas. And thirdly, there must be supervision. Heads of schools have a vital role to play in ensuring that the full curricula are delivered, that teachers complete their assignments, and that classroom time is not lost.
Further, President Granger noted that training is essential for teachers. It is necessary for them to upgrade their skills, acquire new knowledge, so that they can master new techniques and technologies. He added that this administration is aiming towards a full cadre of trained teachers.
The untrained teacher has no place in the future of the educational system in Guyana. And as I've done before, I like to use the analogy of flying an airplane. No one would go into an airplane piloted by an untrained pilot. So why should anyone allow their children to be taught by an untrained teacher? We're looking for total training, not 50 or 60 or 70%. Every teacher must be trained. Trained teachers are essential to halting the decline in educational standards. We're facing a crisis in education. We have a very high and unacceptably high dropout rate. And I don't need to remind you of the abysmally low pass rate in mathematics, particularly at the last National Grade 6 assessment exams this year. The acting chief education officer, Mr. Hudson, would know that the cabinet engaged him on a couple of occasions to ensure that the results of 2017 are not a replay of the results of 2016. Improvement in educational attainment countrywide cannot be achieved unless we have a core of trained teachers. That is why the ceremony today is not just an empty ritual, it's not ornamental, it's essential to the future of our country. You teachers have to be nation builders. You have educated, or your profession has educated generations who in turn have made a contribution to national development.
Meanwhile, Principal of the CPC, Ms. Viola Rowe, in her remarks, said that the college will be embarking on an evaluation of its approach to the subjects, particularly mathematics, and will be working closely with the Ministry of Education to ensure that all weaknesses are addressed so that better results can be recorded in 2017.
CPCE is also concerned about the overall decline in the performance of mathematics in schools, as is evident in, for example, the results of the 2016 National Grade 6 Assessment, Ministry of Education 2016. We intend to review our approaches to the delivery of the mathematics program and would like to take this opportunity to recognize our Ministry of Education's plan of action to improve the performance of mathematics, in this instance, at the grade 6 level. The college also acknowledges the force behind this initiative. Our Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Rupert Rupnarayan, and would like to assure all stakeholders that we will not rest until we get it right.
It was only last Friday that the president handed over $1 million to the Northwest Secondary School to boost the institution's science and technology facilities. The president said that a science-based education is the key to the development of the region and, by extension, the country. Presenting the check to the acting headmistress of the school, Ms. Carlotta Joseph, at the Mabaruma airstrip, even as it started to rain, the president said that as the countries pursue a path towards green development, it is important that advances be made in the areas of science and technology. He noted that this is an investment that the government is making to ensure the emergence of a richer region and country, thereby ensuring a better life for all Guyanese. In December 2015, he pledged $1 million to support the educational programs, which are being undertaken by the Central Islamic Organization of Guyana. And in September of this year, the president pledged an initial $1 million to boost the Berbice High School's computer lab. Later in October, the president, in re-emphasizing the importance of designing curricula focused on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, handed over another $1 million to the Saraswati Vidya Niketan Hindu School at their 12th graduation ceremony. In November, the president presented $1 million to President's College at its 26th graduation exercise. Now we take a look inside the President's diary. President Granger on Friday assured Army veterans that once he receives the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry, which was launched to examine the conditions and circumstances facing veterans of Ghana Defense Force, the Ghana People's Militia, and the Ghana National Service, his government will work to ensure that they are implemented. He was at the time speaking to retired soldiers, including World War II veterans, at a Christmas lunch organized by the Ghana Veterans Legion.
But the whole idea is to improve the quality of life of persons who have spent the greater part of their youth and sometimes their adult life serving this country. You are very proud of your service. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of my service. This year already I've been to Christmas lunches at Ettringbang, the Sharp End. I've been to Mabaruma, where our soldiers are based, and as far as possible I try to continue to go to give them Christmas greetings at this time of the year.
The president spoke of the motion he had piloted in the National Assembly when he was opposition leader to look into the welfare of veterans. However, that motion was never assented to until he took office last year, and as promised in August earlier this year, Colonel retired Desmond Roberts was appointed as the commissioner to lead this inquiry. On Wednesday, a team from the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, who are currently in Guyana to support the development of the Green State Development Strategy, in collaboration with the Project Management Office of the Ministry of the Presidency, registered their overall satisfaction with the progress of their work and at the pace at which Guyana is moving in the pursuit of the Green Agenda. The team, which was led by the United Nations resident representative in Ghana, Ms. Mikiko Tanaka, and the head of the UNEP Caribbean Sub-Regional Office, Mr. Vincent Sweeney, met with President David Granger at the Ministry of the Presidency. During the meeting, President Granger expressed the government's and the country's commitment to pursuing the green path and staying the path, even with the country set to become an oil-producing nation. In an invited comment, Mrs. Sweeney said that it was encouraged not only by the administration's efforts to advance the Green State Development Program, but is also satisfied that the private sector, civil society, and the government all seem to be on the same page about what is required to achieve this goal.
We were very encouraged by the discussions with His Excellency. His vision is very much coincidental with what the feedback we've been getting from all of the groups that we've met with. You could swear he was almost in the room listening, because everybody seems to be very supportive of this Green State Development Initiative. The priorities of the President seem to be very much in line, particularly in terms of job creation, improving efficiencies, sustainable energy, people-centered, and essentially making sure that nobody is left behind.
President Granger on the same day accredited His Excellency Jukka Pete Tikkanen as non-resident ambassador of Finland to Guyana and expressed the hope that his appointment will be a catalyst to enhancing relations between the two countries. The accreditation ceremony was held in State House in the presence of Foreign Affairs Minister Mr. Carl Greenwich and Director General in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Ambassador Audrey Waddell. The head of state told the ambassador that Guyana is confident that his appointment will also add impetus to exploring avenues for collaboration, particularly in the area of climate change adaptation and mitigation and sustainable energy development. Later that day, the president called for the cordial relations between Guyana and the People's Republic of Bangladesh to be significantly enhanced, particularly in the area of climate change, as the country's High Commissioner to Guyana, Mr. Mohammed Zayuddin, presented his letters of credence at State House. During brief remarks, President Granger stated that Ghana and Bangladesh have shared cordial relations since the two countries established diplomatic ties on March 24, 1972.
Enjoyed cordial relations since then. We share many common positions in international affairs. We share a common commitment to the principles and objectives of the United Nations, of the non-aligned movement, and of the Commonwealth. Our two republics share common values, such as mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty, mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs, cooperation for mutual benefit, respect for treaties and international law, and maintenance of peace and security. Excellency, Guyana and Bangladesh, despite being more than 15,000 kilometers apart, have been brought closer together by our common quest for peace, security, and development.
The head of state said that given that the two countries are highly vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change, this is an area in which they should pursue cooperation at both the bilateral and multilateral levels. As such, the president said that Ghana looks forward to learning more about the steps that Bangladesh is taking to combat the threats posed by climate change. The High Commissioner, during his remarks, said that he highly anticipated meeting with the President and that his excitement stemmed from having observed information about Ghana's history and observing the beauty of the country and its warm and friendly people. He said that the government of Bangladesh believes that in today's globalized world, relations should be strengthened with friends on distant shores, adding that his country now sees it important to reach out to countries in Central and South America to build the bridges of friendship. Guyana also welcomed His Excellency Roland de Rozier by virtue of President Granger accepting letters of credence to accredit him as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Sovereign Military Hospitallary Order of Malta to Guyana. The president told the new ambassador that his decision to be resident in Georgetown will allow for him to be better acquainted with Guyanese, their culture, and the challenges they face, and said that Guyana is keen to cooperate with countries that share its values and commitment to address common threats to humanity. On Wednesday evening, President Granger attended a reception held at the Marriott Hotel Guyana in honor of the 83rd birth anniversary of His Imperial Majesty Akihito of Japan, where he said that as Guyana pursues the achievement of a green state, the country looks forward to the continued support of the government and people of Japan as a strong partner in its climate change and sustainable development initiatives. The president said that as Guyana joins with the people of the state of Japan in celebration, Japan remains under his guidance an important member of the community of nations and an important partner to Guyana.
Guyana and Japan established formal diplomatic relations on the 11th of June 1969. Relations between our two countries have blossomed over the past 47 years. Japan is an important development partner for Guyana. Relations have been to our mutual benefit. Guyana has benefited from Japanese assistance in a wide ranging of areas, including education, the empowerment of youth, the environment, especially flood control, renewable energy generation, public health, public infrastructure, and water management. Our relations have strengthened since the enthronement of His Majesty Akihito.
President Granger last week met with students of Bina Hill Institute at State House who are currently in Georgetown on a tour as part of a project with the Food and Agricultural Organization. The head of state told the students that his government believes in education and equality and pledged his support to the institute to ensure that they are given the opportunity to excel.
What we're aiming at in this country is to ensure that the differences between the coastline and the hinterland, the difference between your lifestyle and your quality of life, your standard of living, and the cost of living between the areas where you live and the rest of the country are removed. In other words, our government is aiming at making Guyana a more equal place, so that the opportunities people have on the coastline should be the same for people who live in the hinterland.
The Bina Hill Institute was established in 2007 to particularly cater to the needs of school dropouts. Principal of the institution, Mr. Victor Ferreira, explained that the mission of this facility is to offer tangible and practicable programs that would offer youth a second chance at an education so that they can be able to give back to their communities in a meaningful way. In this segment of the program, we take a look at the softer side of His Excellency, President David Granger. Christmas is celebrated as a time of giving and spreading cheer, not only to the less fortunate, but to kids and each other. President Granger, as a father and grandfather, has a soft spot for children, and aside from the policies crafted by his government to ensure they can develop in a society conducive for their growth, he always ensures that at every Christmas time, he is personally available to spread cheer to many faces across the country by doing what the season is best known for: hosting kids' parties and sharing presents. Over the past 2 weeks, the president has been visiting villages from Berbice to Anna Regina on the Essequibo coast to Buxton Village and Lusignan on the east coast of Demerara. This toys distribution exercise has become a tradition which the president looks forward to at this time every year. The president's first stop was at the Good Hope Lusignan Learning Center, where over 300 excited children from surrounding communities turned out. He said that Christmas is one of the most anticipated holidays of the year and is celebrated by all Guyanese regardless of their religious beliefs. The head of state told the children that apart from the gifts and festivities, Christmas is a special time when Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ.
And I'm here again. Why am I here? I'm here because anything that is good for children is good for Guyana. Yes. Right? Yes. Right. Okay. Well, as you know, we're into what is called the Christmas season. And although some of you may not be Christians, some of you may be Muslims, some of you may be Hindus, whatever you are, you're Guyanese. And all of us in Guyana know that Christmas time is really a time for children.
At Carrier Village, Essequibo Islands, West Demerara, the head of state explained that his visit is in response to an invitation he received from members of the community who he met at his office a few months ago. Speaking to those gathered, the president reminded that Christ came into the world as a child under the most humblest conditions, and as such, since the start of the holiday season, he has been going to various communities across the country to ensure that children are celebrated and are assured of his administration's love and commitment to their well-being. He also reminded parents of the importance of keeping their children in school.
Why do we put so much emphasis on education? Because we believe education is the gateway to equality. And once you're educated, you can do anything. You can become president, you can become minister, you can become regional executive officer, you can become a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, you can open your own business and become rich and prosperous. But if you drop out of school, these things will not be possible.
At Anna Regina, the president said that Christmas is a season of peace and goodwill, and that is why it is celebrated by people of all races and religion. He also called on citizens of the region to continue to live in unity and amity, which is the main message of this festive season.
Our Minister of Social Cohesion, Ms. Amna Ali, wants to continue to ensure that people of the Pomeroon-Supalam region live together, not only in unity, but also in amity, loving one another. And that is the message of Christmas, a message of peace, goodwill to all.
With that, we have come to the end of this edition of This Week with the President. Thank you for joining me. For regular updates on the Ministry of the Presidency, go to our website at www.motp.gov.gy, like our Facebook page, Ministry of the Presidency, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MOTP Guyana. Do have a safe and productive rest of the week. Goodbye, Guyana.